everybody. My name is Anthony Pacheco. I am a commercial music student at UTEP, University of Texas at El Paso, and I'm also a musician of the El Paso area. I hope these drumming videos will help not only your jazz band, but your drummers as well, as I know it is very important to have a strong rhythm section in jazz band in order to have the band play to its full potential. I also like to refer a couple of resources that I've used in my middle school years. One of them is the Essential Elements for Jazz by Mike Steinel, I believe. And the other one was The Art of Bop Drumming. For the drummers, I would recommend getting this book right here, The Art of Bop Drumming from John Riley. If you're looking to build your jazz drum language, this is probably where I've learned a lot of my stuff. And you can get that anywhere online, I'm sure. So with that being said, we are going to go ahead and get into the lesson. So today's lesson will be focusing on the swing pattern as well as the swing beat for drum set. And even if you're a brass or wind player, it is very important to have a great sense of rhythm and great time, because if we don't have that, then we probably won't be able to play together. So have your brass players and your wind players check out these videos as well, so they have an idea of how our swing rhythm is played. So with that being said, let's get into the topic. So we have a difference between the straight feel and the swing feel. So taking our eighth notes, okay, we have 8 notes, right? 1, 10, 2, 10, 3, 10, or 1 tay, 2 tay, 3 tay, 4 tay, however you like to count it. We usually play those very straight, until someone says, hey, let's play that in a swing fill. And when we do a swing fill, we have a little bit more of a triplet based fill. And the swung 8 notes would sound like this. So, going into that, that's how we kind of come up with our swing pattern, by really using a swing fill. And if you have trouble getting the swing fill, you know, a good picture that I like to image is a horse galloping. And you can hear his hooves galloping, chick, 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 chick. And you're probably riding a horse, or you're thinking of just a horse galloping across somewhere on the street. But definitely that's a imagery that I have in my head whenever I'm thinking swing, and that's just the cap that I put on. So it's very important to have a strong swing fill in order to play any kind of swung music. So now that we have a difference between the straight and the swung, we're now going to go ahead and go into the swing pattern for the ride cymbal. And before I go on, I just want to mention the ride cymbal here. I know you can't see it, my light is probably blocking it, but it's here. The ride cymbal is probably the most important part, besides the hi-hat, of course. But the ride cymbal is where everybody is listening. So if your ride cymbal pattern is not strong, you might want to tighten up on that, because everybody listens to that pattern on the ride, and it really brings everybody together, especially in jazz music. So now let's go ahead and go into the swing pattern. So I'll go ahead and play it first on the hi-hat, just so you can hear it here, and then I'll play it on this ride cymbal. 1, 2, 3, oh. Cool. So as you see, I'm playing with the swing fill, and I will go ahead and break down the pattern that we have. So again, when going back to the swing fill, we have it in a triplet based pattern, correct? So if you don't know your triplets, this is what our triplets are. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So now with the swing pattern, we kind of break that apart. So we have, imagine our triplets, right, in 4 beats, and on beats 1 and 3, we take out we take out two of those triplets, and we just have 1. So on 1 and 3, we have the downbeat, and we can change it to a quarter note. And then the second and fourth beat, we have 3 again, and we take out the middle one, so we just have 2. So we would have 2 lead and 4 lead, and then your beats 1 and 3 would just be 1 and 3. So again, it would sound like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So go ahead and pause the video and try that with your setup, or if you have a drum pad around you, or if you want to just do it with your hands, play it on your leg. Go ahead and try that for a couple times and then come back to the video. Alright, cool. I hope you were able to check out that ride pattern. Now we're going to put it together. So let's just kind of review. Cool. So now what we want to do, so the thing I like to emphasize is the 2 and 4, and it's really important because, again, if you play a rock beat like this, right? If you play a rock beat like that, people are always going to want to hear that backbeat. So, same idea applies to the ride cymbal when you have the swing pattern. So I'll play it here first and then I'll transfer over here. So you want to have an emphasis of 2 and 4. So you can accent it, or you can just play it a little bit louder than 1 and 3. So let's go ahead and try that. 1, 2, 3, Here we go to the ride. Cool. So now go ahead and give that a try. And remember, we want to try to emphasize the 2 and 4 a little bit more. So again, pause the video and try that. Alright, I hope you were able to work that out and get better at it. So now let's go ahead and involve our limbs one by one. So as we got the swing pattern, we add on the second most important thing, which is the hi-hat, which is your cymbals that are right here, and you use it with your leg. You have a pedal. So again, the hi-hat falls on 2 and 4. So when we're playing this, we want to be able to match those beats on 2 and 4. So it sounds like this. And if you have a hard time trying to put it together right away, you can go ahead and do quarter notes like this. That's usually the way I started, and as long as you still have that swinging feel in your head, and you're playing quarter notes, that would still work fine. So go ahead and work that out when you have a chance, and when you feel comfortable, add in the little bump, and what I like to call 2 and 4 when you have the little skip note. I call it the bump, or you can call it the skip note. And I like to add it in once I get that whole beat together. So start off with quarter notes and get into your bump. Cool. So now that we have our hi-hat added, our next part that we're going to add is our bass drum. And so a lot of times with my students, the first thing that I like to play is 1 and 3, because whenever we play a rock beat again, we have that 1 and 3 kick all the time, and so whenever they try to play their first swing beat, they're usually just going, which is totally fine, no big deal with that. But I like to take a little bit extra, and I like to have my students learn to play on all beats of the measure. So rather than just playing 1 and 3, I like for them to play on all quarter notes, beats 1, 2, 3, and 4. So, with that being said, when you're playing this style, a little history of it. Back in in the older days when amplification wasn't around just yet, many of the bass players in the big bands back then, they had no amps, so they would really have to just play louder by themselves. Over the whole band, which was full of 15, 20 people, loud trumpets, a drum set, all that stuff. And with that being said, the drummer was kind of the guy to give him the extra oomph, the extra bass in that setting. So usually the drummer would play quarter notes because the bass line would be walking, right? So the bass drum was kind of an extra bass for the bass player, if that makes sense. So what I like to do is I like to play my quarter notes on all 4 beats with the bass drum. But the thing is though, you don't want to play it loud, because when you play it loud, it kind of gets a little too much. And I'll play an example of that right here. 1, 2, 3. And so with that, it's just kind of, the bass drum could be a very loud instrument, and I know there's a lot of band directors out there that are not a fan of the bass drum sometimes. But definitely, you want to make sure that you lay it back a little bit on the bass drum. So the technique that I like to use, and I know you can't see my feet, but definitely my feet is in a heel down position, which is like this. So this is the pedal, and my heel is all down on the pedal. And the technique that I like to use is feathering the bass drum. And feathering means like literally barely kind of touching the bass drum. And so this being the bass drum, you're almost like just tapping it very light. It's not too big, not too small, just like right in between, where you're accompanying a imaginary bass line if you're by yourself, or if the bass player is playing, he has a little bit of a bass, extra bass playing with him. But the thing is, it's not super loud. They just want to be able to feel it, you want to be able to feel it, but not hear it. So I'm going to go ahead and play an example of that right now, and then I want you to pause the video and you give it a try. 1, 2, 3. So if you can hear the difference, rather than playing the kick so super rockish, you want to feather that. And I know right now I have a 22-inch bass drum set up, and that's really big drum. It's more for rock and stuff, but I can still, adapt to it and feather the bass drum where it's not so loud. So that just shows that, no matter what drum set you have, you can do it on any drums, any set of drums. So now I want you to go ahead and try it, and go ahead and pause the video and try feathering the bass drum with the beats, and then come back to the video and we'll continue. Cool. Well, I hope you work that out and continue to work it out. So now let's kind of review and put so far what we have together. So we have the ride cymbal. We added the hi-hat on beats 2 and 4. And then we have the bass drum playing all 4 quarter notes, lightly and feathered. That's what we have so far. And also remember, even if you can't do the swing pattern just yet, you can also play quarter notes like this, just until you feel comfortable to add the swing pattern and the skip notes or bump notes. So now let's go ahead and continue to our last section of the swing beat, and then we put it all together. So we got the hi-hat, we got the bass drum, we got the ride. Now we got the snare. And in this case, since we're taking it as a big band, jazz band approach where we have a drummer, a rhythm section, and a brass section and a wind section, we definitely have more of a job to really put everybody together and keep everyone together in time. So for the most part, your snare is going to be on 2 and 4, and you're going to always want to give that backbeat. Kind of like what I gave the example of a rock beat where we're playing and we have the 2 and 4 going. Same idea here on the swing rhythm. So let me go ahead and play that. So this snare drum is on beats 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3. Cool. And now we have what you call your swing beat for jazz band. And so with the snare, again, 2 and 4, it's depending on the dynamic you have. If you have what is called a shout section, and I'm sure you'll learn this in class, a shout section is basically a big section of the song where everybody is just playing loud and it's the fun part of the song and you are just really digging into it, and that snare is basically your backbeat. You want to hear that sucker go all the way till the end, right? So with that being said, your snare is the most important in shout sections. But when you're playing your swing beat, your snare can be from a medium to soft level depending, on your setting or what you're playing. But for sure, the basic swing beat is just what I play. So I'm gonna play it again, and I want you to pause the video, and then you give it a try, and then come back and we'll conclude our lesson for today. 1, 2, 3. Now go ahead and give it a try. Pause the video. Cool, so I hope you were able to work that out. And I'm going to go ahead and play it one more time. And you can play it along with me if you want. And then we'll go ahead and conclude our lesson for today. 1, 2, 3. So again, we have our ride, our hi-hat, our snare, and our bass drum. Those are your 4 main components of the swing rhythm. And if you have any questions, you can have your teachers contact me when you get this video for any extra questions. If you guys would like to take private lessons, to get more in-depth with the lessons that I'm doing, definitely, you can reach me through my email or any of my phone number, which I'm sure I will be putting out. And all that information will be in the description below on my YouTube video. And so I hope you enjoyed today's lesson on the swing beat. I know in these strange times it's a little tough, we miss playing together, being, with everybody. But we're going to make it the best we can. And drummers and jazz band, brass players and wind players, we're all going to get through this together. Keep practicing. This is the best time to practice right now. And I wish you all well and stay safe, and thank you for tuning in, and I will see you in the next lesson.